All right, this next little squid that is going to be on the show, Nick Swardson, old buddy of mine. If you're in the Happy Madison universe, you would know him from Just Go With It, Benchwarmers. He was in Grown Ups 2.
Bucky Larson.
He was Bucky Larson. I'm trying to think of the other ones. He's in pretty much all of them, peppered throughout. Also, Reno 911, he played Terry, the ice skating crazy character.
Yeah.
No, Terry, the roller skating. What'd I say?
Roller skating on Reno 911.
What a crack up. He can go to Comic-Cons the rest of his life just over that one. So, very lovable guy, very funny. He's got a new special out, a new tour. He loves Saturday Night Live, grew up on all of us, and wanted to talk to us. And we like talking to him. You had fun, Dana.
He's just one of those exceptionally likable, real people. He's been just incredibly funny in everything he's in for the last 25 years. So it's fun to catch up with him and talk to him. And he's going to be out on a tour next year called Toilet Head. Nick Larson. Nick Swardson. I was thinking Bucky Larson. Nick Swardson in Toilet Head coming to a theater near you next year. And his special is called Tell Joke from Face.
I think so, yeah.
on YouTube, and that's going to be out soon as well.
We hassle him about that. Very quick on his feet, always has been. Enjoy Nick Swardson.
Well, I was just going over, seriously, who farted, Toilet Head, and certain other things. I thought, I want to get with the program. I don't want to be left out. Look at him. He does church lady and all that. He's afraid of anal material, bottom, some feces. I'll let you guys talk.
I'm not. That's
all you're going to say the whole time.
I'm not allergic to diarrhea. Was that a special, or is that just
what a burn?
That's gonna be on my tombstone.
Weird guy, but definitely wasn't allergic to diarrhea.
Anyway, we introduce you later. We record your intro, so that's why we just start talking. Some people go, "Do we have a start point?" Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is it, and you've been doing great. You're doing great, sweetie.
David, you look really good. You look like a Muppet that was dipped in diarrhea. Good Lord.
Welcome to it, Dana. This is my life. I hang out with this guy.
It's hysterical.
You guys, let's get down to business and talk politics.
Yeah, let's make half the country hate us.
My manager is Rob Schneider, and he really cues me in on what's up to date.
They're poisoning our water.
I remember when we were on tour with I don't know, Spade, if you remember this. We were I believe we were in Dallas, and Sandler got sick. And we had a big show in New Orleans the next day. And he had like a really bad sinus infection. So I was like, oh, you should get a B12 and a cortisone shot. And Rob goes, no, green tea.
No.
He needs green tea. And I'm like, no, he has an infection. I go, I've seen this before. Like, he needs science. And Rob's like, no.
Yeah, listen, I went to the University of TikTok. I know more than Rob. I remember, we were waiting in the Dallas lobby for everyone to bring their bags down to go to the next city on this middle of a 9-day tour. And they're like, Adam's still not feeling good. He's not coming down. And we're like, oh, wait. And Rock's like, I'm going to walk around. So we're all sitting there. We don't know what to do. And Nick suggests B12. Typically, you get the doctor to come over and they give you a little Pink Floyd shot, when no one's looking, and you're like, I'm John Bonet now. Let's do this. And they kind of jack you up a little bit and you get through the show. But we had that all set up, and the doctor goes up, and then Rob ran up there after him. And we're like, Rob, do not. And he goes, that was a close one. He almost fixed him. He almost got the show going again. No, I said, this is a process. You squeeze a lemon, you take some magnesium. We were like, oh my God, canceled the show.
I had a guy who was obsessed with pomegranates. Pomegranates, man. It's literally for everything. It's a miracle. It's a miracle vegetable or whatever. Pomegranates.
I mean, I subscribe to that stuff, but it's like at a certain point, like Adam was really sick. It's like, a cortisone B12 shot would have fixed him immediately, or at least we could have done the show. We had to cancel the show. But like green tea, like if you get shot by a gun, you're not going to pour green tea on your wound.
Well, yeah, he needed an IV. He needed water. You need hydration.
You need a smear of pomegranate.
Something that can kill bacteria.
Yeah, you need a pomegranate butt plug.
Or just. There you go. Yeah, I remember that whole tour.
Word, isn't it? Yeah.
Was Norm on that one?
Norm was not on the Dallas one. No.
Norm was on an earlier one, and Norm was actually the most fun in probably a group chat, because we have a group chat of everyone just ragging on each other.
Yeah, Norm always confused about everything. Yeah, what? What do you mean? What is it? Was it breakfast? Like, yeah, it's called breakfast. Just everything confusing.
Yeah, intentionally always doing a bit, like every moment. It was just so funny. Like, what are we doing here? Is this called Zoom? Is that what they call it? Zoom? Yeah, why do they call it Zoom? Where are we going? I'm still in my chair.
It's not going very fast. Why are we calling it Zoom?
We're doing a show in space?
In space?
What's going on here?
One time, Nick, we were on the same floor, usually, and
Norm is the great.
And Norm, I think I told this to Dana, but after the show, of course, the show turns into like we get there early, then we hang out in Adam's dressing room, which is like a palace, and then we go, we do the show, and it ends late, and then they find some restaurant that'll take us idiots to eat steak at midnight, so we do that. Everyone's wondering why they feel sick and gain 9 pounds in 4 days. So then we eat like scalloped potatoes at 2:30 in the morning. And then we go back to the room, and Norm he's walking me to my room, and he goes, "What are you going to do now?" And I go, fall asleep within 14 seconds. And he goes, "Well, you want to come hang out?" And I go, "Norm, I actually sleep at night. I'm going to probably take a tub and go to bed." And he goes, "Why don't you just take a tub? I have a tub." I go, "I'm going to come in your room and take a bath." He's like, "We can just talk." I go, "No, the optics aren't good, Norm. No, thank you." What? And the next day he goes, "Spade wanted me to take a bath with him." That's what he says in the group chat. And I'm like, no, that's not what happened.
That's amazing. I love that. I remember one time, I think we were at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut casino, and we were backstage. And it was me and Norm. And then you guys, David, you and Rob were in Adam's dressing room. And Norm and I were in the hallway. And there's a security guard walking down the hallway towards us. And he had a gun. And I go, "Oh my God, Norm, that guy's got a gun." And Norm goes, "What? A gun? Oh my God." And he ran into Adam's dressing room. Do you remember this, David? And he goes,
"No.
Hey, there's a guy with a gun." And Adam goes, "What? The fuck?" And all you guys were like, "Oh my God, this guy with a gun." And I was like, "Oh, no, it's a security guard. It was a joke. I was just messing with Norm." And Norm goes, "No, but the guy's got a gun." And Adam got mad at me, and he goes, what? That's a joke that a guy has a gun? I'm like, "I was just messing with Norm. I didn't think he was going to run in and scream at everybody. I was just trying to mess with Norm."
Trouble.
Yeah, and I got reprimanded. And Norm goes,
go ahead. He works a word, My favorite story, which we said before, I tell it shortly, but he's playing with Lovitz, some casino, and he's after the show, "Hey, I need $800, And John's like, no, and finally wears it down. "All right, here you go, but pay me back tomorrow." And then Norm comes in. John goes, "Where's my money?" He goes, "I don't have it." And John gets really mad. He goes, "What are you getting mad for? I lost $8,000. Why are you mad at me?
You only lost $800.
You only lost $800.
What a battle of the most insane voices. Norm and Lovitz in a conversation. It's just drive anybody insane.
I told John that Lauren was kidding him. Norm was intentionally. Once John took a bite of this was like, "Well, I'm a better stand-up than you, because I've been doing it longer, so I'm better. You're not a real stand-up." He would say that to John, and John would get super mad and excuse me, what? Angry. And then I said, the more you react, and Norm's going to go work that. It's just so funny.
Oh, going back to diets and how we would eat late at night. It was so brutal. It's like David said, we would just get these horrible meat sweats. Like, I mean, Adam would eat steak at midnight. It was like insane. But I remember one time we were doing the Zohan, and I was at Adam's house. Yep. I was at Adam's house, and this is before he had his kids. And he was like all stressed out because he wasn't losing weight. He was like, I keep gaining weight. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. So I go to his refrigerator. He had 2 huge refrigerators. One had food. The other one was just ice cream sandwiches. And I go, what is this for? And he goes, I like ice cream sandwiches. And I go, well, when do you eat them? And he goes, well, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have like 4. I'm like, in the middle of the night, you have 4 ice cream and you're wondering why you're not losing weight? Like, what are you doing? What are you in kindergarten?
What was the answer? Did he get rid of the ice cream sandwich?
He didn't put the math together. Yeah.
No, you got like a Navy SEAL to train him and punch him in the
are fun.
penis.
Nick and I've known Nick since the very, very old days. When did I first see you, Nick? It wasn't, I want to say Benchwarmers. It was before Benchwarmers, right?
The first time I ever met you, Dana, I don't know if you were there. It was at the Aspen Comedy Festival, and they had an SNL reunion in Aspen.
Oh, wow.
I was there.
At the HBO Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
Farley was there. And that was the first time I met you, David. I don't think you remember it. I remember we went out with Dave Becky.
Okay, I love Dave Becky. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dave, didn't he used to book you at like the San Diego Improv or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we went out, and you had just booked Just Shoot Me. And you were talking about it. We were walking around Aspen, you and me and Dave Becky. And you were like, yeah, I just booked a sitcom. It's on NBC. Is that a good network?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were super cocky.
Oh, is that good when it's the main best one? And then I'd walk up to other people and go, bye, guys. I go up to other 2 strangers and go, yeah, I guess I'm just going to do this new sitcom. And they're like, oh, hi, hello.
And you were like, bye-bye.
Hey, bye-bye. Oh, yeah, we should get into Nick that he has to be an SNL fan because he's a little twerp from Minnesota. You're up there struggling along, not fitting in, I'm guessing. And no one likes you, I'm guessing. And then you probably, when did you start on the old SNL train?
So we all started stand-up young, right? I started when I was 19. Yeah. You were how old, David?
I was 19.
Dana, you were how old?
Well, little asterisk here. There were no comedy clubs when I started. I mean, literally. So I did do a set.
It was the Old West.
When I was 20. But then it'd be months before.
Charlie Chaplin? Who did you start with?
There was not a comedy scene. I mean, by the time 1980 came, I got out of college. They built a comedy club called The Punchline. But before that, it was just the Holy City Zoo. It was a bar. So you just didn't get a lot of sets. The train tracks were laid by the time you guys got there. So you start doing it and you do 5 nights in a club. In my day, we didn't have comedy clubs.
A Dixie cup with a string.
I played a delicatessen, and that's true. I played a delicatessen. So while you're getting your
So you were a real ham at the delicatessen.
This guy's
That's
scribble that one down.
Yeah. You're like a ham. What you're doing a special?
Oh yeah,
what?
You did a special, right?
Yeah, I got a special coming out July 18th, and then I've got a whole new hour touring this fall, Toilet Head.
Oh, good. Well, we'll cut this part out, but what's the
special? So wait a minute.
Called?
I have a question. So you're going to record the special. The special comes out, and then you're going to tour. So you have a whole extra.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Well, can you tour with the special? You have to have new material, right?
No, I have a special coming out. It's already recorded.
Oh,
that was recorded last year, and now I've got a whole new hour for the fall, and I'll record that at the end of the year.
Wow,
we always talk about this.
How do you get an hour?
I don't know.
It's hard to get an hour. Yeah,
how do you? It's the hardest thing ever.
So tough.
But to answer your question, David, so when I started stand-up, I wasn't a big fan of stand-up. So I was a huge fan of SNL. So for me, my favorite years, I don't know if it's because just my time, but like, or my age, but like the late 80s, early 90s, like you guys' era, I think is hands down the best era ever. Because that cast was such a banger between you guys, Farley, Rock, Tim Meadows, Kevin Nealon, Phil Hartman. I mean, like, it was just insane.
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers. I mean, like,
there was a coalesce. There was like, yeah, I agree that because you had the Bad Boys of comedy coming in, Rock and Spade and everybody, and then you still had Phil Hartman, myself, Mike Myers,
Jan Hooks,
Jan Hooks, and so it was sort of. I said when we interviewed Lauren, I said, "Didn't all the errors are good?" But I go, "But didn't you have a lot of weapons? You had Toots as the cat, or Sandler would sing a song, Mike would do sprockets. There was so many reoccurring characters." But anyway. Just because I was there doesn't mean it was the best. Whoops.
So many. I mean, it was crazy. One of my favorites. Who wrote Massive Head Wound Harry?
Oh, yeah.
That
was it Jack Handy? No.
No, different people worked on it, but I believe Rob Schneider was the
really?
Isn't that what Rob told us?
Oh my God.
He said Joe Biden wrote it. Rob said Joe Biden.
I asked Biden, "Did you write Massive Head Wound Harry?" He said, "Yeah, it was Harry. It was a massive, but there was a vibe." I agree. So you did write it. Well, that's how. Anyway, how to get canceled?
Who wrote Hunter the effeminate heterosexual?
That's a great Lyle, the effeminate heterosexual.
That was me. Had a hairdresser who was so effeminate. And he was completely straight. And so that essence came from then Smigel did the song, and then that was that. And I heard a rumor that it was Tim Burton's favorite sketch. I don't know if that's true. You hear weird things like Tim Burton.
That's so random.
I love sketches that have a little song up front. He's Lyle, I love that. Where the whole premise is completely right up front, and then you go right in.
That's right. No, here's the song that says the whole sketch, and then you just act it out. I don't think they do that as much anymore. Maybe they do.
So you're like a little kid. You're like an 8th grader or something. You're watching SNL, and your mind's blown. Whoops, too many weapons. And then how fanciful is it for you to go, I want to do that? I want to be a funny guy on TV.
Yeah, I was like, again, I started doing improv and I did sketches and stand-up. I just never thought anything about it. So my improv company folded, Comedy Sports. And so I was like, okay, I'll just try stand-up. So I went and I tried it and it went great. It wasn't like my first time was awesome. And then it went all downhill from there.
Everyone says that. First one works.
The first one was good.
Then you bomb. Then you just start collecting bombs.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories is when I first started, I got successful really quick. When I was really young, I was 19, and I got the HBO Comedy Festival. For people that don't know, that was a huge deal. So I was a new face at 19 years old. I'd been doing stand-up for 6 months. And so, long story short, I go to the Bay Area, and I had all this heat on me. I'd signed with Dave Becky, who's a manager. Yeah. And this guy, John Fox. Do you remember that name, Dana?
Know him, of course. He booked all of us up and down the coast, Seattle Underground.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Booked a ton of clubs.
So I go to the Bay Area, and he booked me in Santa Cruz. I believe the club was the Crow's Nest, if that's right.
Yes.
So I fly into the Bay Area, and he drives me personally to the gig. And he's like, he goes, "You have a ton of heat on you. Everyone's talking about you. I'm really excited for you to do this room." I'm like, okay. He goes, "I'm going to drive you personally." So it was like an 1.5-hour drive, and we're talking comedy the whole time. And he's talking about you, Dana. And he was like, "You remind me of a Dana Carvey." He's like, he came in hot, young kid, just smoked the room, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I love Dana Carvey. He's one of my favorites. So anyway, long story short, we drive to the gig. I bomb so hard. Like, it was one of my top bombs of all time.
Oh,
and then we had to drive home for an hour and a half, and he didn't talk to me the whole ride.
Oh,
so we went from being like all excited, and then I tank it, and it was just the most awkward. And I just kept thinking of, I am not Dana Carvey.
God,
like, man,
he just kept holding me up to the bar of Dana.
That was all an illusion. I mean, I did some sets, and then I happened to win a comedy competition, but then I bombed opening for bands and bombed all the time. I mean, you just bomb but you're more experimental, aren't you? Oh, this is how I'm supposed to do it. Were you just like going up with your energy the way I would perceive you? And if the crowd hooks it, then you're in.
Yeah.
But if they don't get it.
I had, when I started out, and I don't know if you guys were like this, but like starting out in stand-up, I was terrified of silence. So I was so physical and energetic because I didn't want any silence. Like I didn't want any kind of dead air. So I was just manic and crazy, just a crazy person. So like that made it even worse when you're bombing. So when you have like energy times 1,000 and the crowd's like, yeah, no.
You know, sometimes it's tough when you go up. You guys know that if I'm doing a corporate or anything, you know, you can still bomb in this day and age. And I go up and I sometimes catch myself going, folks, if you're not buying the first 3 jokes, you're not going to buy the last. I mean, I don't change to southpaw in the middle. Like, this is my sense of humor. If you're not really into it at the beginning, first 10 minutes, it's very rare to win them over, but you can trip into a bit that sort of clicks, and then they start to go, all right, we'll give you a chance. And then you do another one, and then that's the best feeling if you can turn them around. But it's kind of true. Like, if they're not buying your whole vibe, it's just tough. They just like no sale.
Nick, did you in the early days at some point have a bit or a joke that was what I would call surefire? Like one that you could lean on? You know, I had Jimmy Stewart as a waiter. That never didn't get a laugh. And I don't know if at some point you do have like the one bit that never, it's like Spade doing Tom Petty at some point. Not always going to get a reaction. He had the hat. He looked like Tom Petty.
Closer? Yeah.
Hard to follow.
Funny face.
Yeah, mine, I would impersonate a cat vomiting.
That's already funny.
Yeah, so I would impersonate exactly like a cat vomiting, and that would always kill. That was one of my first go-tos.
You could actually say you're going to do that later in the act. Go, you guys, if you stick around, I'm going to do a cat vomiting. And it keeps getting a laugh, and then just never do it because it's just funny anyway.
I love just stuff like that. Like abstract, just with no connection to reality or anything. Here's a cat vomiting. The idea of someone doing that makes me laugh.
Well, also, like the big thing, too, is when you have a closing bit. Like, that's so key. Like, trying to find a really good closer. So, oh God, it's so stressful.
You know what's fun is when you move a bit from the middle of the act and you go, let me try to close with this. It's such a victory. You go, oh my God, I have a fucking closer. Like a bit you're just working on, you go, oh my God, it's so strong. I can put it at the end. And then you do a special, and the grossest part is you got to rip it out of your fucking claws and go, nope, you don't have that crutch anymore. You're like, God dang, I finally got that one to work.
Yeah, it's the worst. I remember I used to open for David Cross. And we were doing the Houston Improv and or the Laugh Stop, sorry. And I was going to the bathroom. I was taking a pee in the bathroom. And I thought of a joke where I was like,
at the urinal or a toilet or how were you?
It was at the toilet, Jimmy. It was at the toilet.
No wonder it always killed. It's funny when I hear anyone do it. Just why somebody talking like that? All right, go ahead.
So I was like, I thought of a premise where I was like, God, what if I came as much as I peed? Like I peed for like a minute. I'm like, what if I orgasmed, came for a minute? And I told David that, and he was like, oh, you should tell that on stage. And I go, really? So I told it on stage, and it did well. And then I forgot about it. And then a decade later, I talked about it. I found it in one of my notebooks, and I was like, oh. And I did and it became my closer. 10 years later, I'd forgotten about it. And I randomly, it just said, come pee in my notebook. And then it became my closer on my Netflix special that I did.
I have come and pee on my notebook.
It is interesting when you keep, I don't know about you. I keep massive pieces of paper around. I'm incredibly lazy, but I'm terrified of forgetting a joke. But you will go through it once in a while. I got big gobs over here, and you go, oh, that one. Why'd I stop doing that one? It is fun when you go, oh, that bit'll work.
I look at mine, Dane, and it's like I put a joke like, yeah, last time I did that was when I was 12, and then in parentheses it says cross eyes here.
That's the funny part.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh right, I can't forget. That's the real killer part of that one. Like I give myself notes, my old jokes. I'm like, oh boy.
Good Lord.
So what's your
Tam.
closer? What's your closer on this special? I don't want to give it away, but you did it off the grid. You did it yourself, right? Sorry, my computer does that. It's a little thing.
Yeah, I was like, what is that?
It's on YouTube, which is all the rage. Release it direct to consumer. Is that the idea, or was it?
Yeah, because I was talking to Hulu and Amazon and all these places, but they wanted to release it next year. So I've got my fall tour. So I was like, I'll just throw it on YouTube. Like I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not making any money. I'm just like, I want everyone to see it.
It's a promo. I mean? Even Schneider said, if I do another one, I don't even want to try to sell it to Netflix. I would just say, could you put it on? Just take it for free. And if not, I'll put it on YouTube, because you really just need a calling card of like, here's something, and you generate a little money from that. And then you push the tour. Like musicians, you probably make more when you go on the road. So you got to get people interested.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, you make money from touring. We're not all, Sandler and Rock and Chappelle, where it's like, here's Spade, $8 billion.
No. I mean, the new Netflix deals are, it's more just for the platform. But how did you film it then? You're in charge.
Look at Dana's thing.
The thumbs up is so weird.
It's so fucking funny.
There's people, something I clicked, and then balloons will come down sometimes.
Dana does
I didn't do anything with the computer.
A thumbs up pop up on the screen. It's so funny. And a balloon.
I don't know what makes it pop up.
Whitney did this, and balloons
I feel like
kept
it makes
falling
me feel
on
like
her.
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
like
you get thumbs up. You're like the audience. Look at how he's got fireworks.
Look, now I got fireworks from doing
so
that.
hot.
Let's stop again. People are hearing this.
Oh, you got it again. Your thumbs up.
No, but then the fireworks came for some reason.
It's funnier than the whole thing.
It looks like I'm jacking off. I'm going to
close with that.
Your orgasm is fireworks. That's amazing.
So where did you? I'm just curious about that.
I did the San Jose Improv, and these producers came and they offered to shoot it for me.
Yeah,
they were great.
450 seats, giant balcony.
Yeah, it's a great club. That's one of my favorites.
Great club. Yeah,
they fill it up.
I might even do my next one there.
Yeah, it's great over
or Minnesota.
I do think like that's like a small theater. It's a club, but it's like 450, so it's sort of like the perfect size to do comedy, to record comedy.
Yeah, it's great. It was awesome, and the crowds are awesome. I really loved it.
Yeah.
David, I don't know if you remember this. One of my favorite tour moments, speaking of Rob Schneider, we did Orlando, and he was mad about something.
Of course.
And
who stole my magnesium?
Yeah, and your intro, do you remember this? Rob goes on stage, and he was like, before he introduced you, he goes, let me just talk about the shooting at the gay nightclub.
Oh, at the Pulse nightclub?
Yeah, he goes,
oh my God.
Yeah, he goes, it was 1 year ago today that shooting happened. And the people in the crowd go, no, it was 6 months ago. It wasn't a year ago.
Yeah,
and he goes, no, it was
half a year.
It was 6. And they're like, yeah, no, it was 6 months. And he goes, and he looks on the side of the stage, and I'm standing next to a crew member.
Yeah.
And he goes, that asshole told me it was a year ago. this random guy, this crew member. And I'm standing next to him. The guy goes, I've never talked to Rob in my life. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Excellent. I remember that.
He goes, anyway, Joe Dirt. That was your intro.
To the angry crowd and sad crowd. Hey, anyway, there was a big gay shooting. Here's David Spade, a big gay comic.
Yeah, it's like, what a weirdo.
I know.
Do you like group shows? Do you like group shows, Nick?
I love it because, I mean, David and I had talked about this. The Sandler tour was amazing, but it's hard doing 10 minutes. It's really hard. Like
in a big crowd.
I don't mind doing an hour. I mean, I love doing an hour, but it's like, it's a catch-22 because it's easy doing 10 minutes, but it's also hard, if that makes sense. But it's great being with my friends. Like, the Sandler tour was amazing. I mean, those were my best friends and Norm, and, it was just great.
Where was the show where you have that picture of me, you, and Adam back behind the stage as an outdoor event? It's a huge event.
That was in Minnesota.
Yeah, that was like 20,000 or something.
But that was the one where I kept telling Sandler, I go, we have to do Minnesota. It's my home state, my hometown. We have to do it. He's like, yeah. And then finally, like, he didn't do it. And then finally he did. And it sold out immediately. They had to add like 5,000 seats. It was like crazy.
I did my last special in Minneapolis.
Yeah, you did the Pantages, right?
I don't look in the past.
Cracker Barrel?
No, I don't know. Do you remember, Heather? What was it? It was a Cracker Barrel pop-up
Yeah, it was Cracker Barrel
next to the freeway.
What's
that
the
had a
theater?
fireworks store.
Let's do that. What's the theater that has 3 sides to it and goes straight up? It's like an amphitheater in Minneapolis. I played that a few times. I don't remember the name.
The
but I do
Orpheum?
remember.
Was the State Theater,
Morpheus?
the Orpheum?
No, my next one is in
But I remember
Denver,
the
guys.
audience as being especially
Nobody
great
cares.
in Minneapolis.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
They're fine.
That's why it was tricky because like when I started, I did really well, like I said, out of the gate. I'd never bombed in Minnesota, like not even close. And
Good job.
then I
You're
moved
doing
to
great, sweetie.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Oh,
Good
the cat's
stuff.
vomiting.
Oh, that's
Oh,
fun.
he's vomiting on his own penis.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. But then when I moved to New York is when I really started bombing. Everybody
What a
told me
w-
it was the best advice I ever got. Nealon, actually, I opened for Nealon at the Mall of America. And he told me, I think I'm going to move to LA. And he was like, no. He's like, go to New York. I remember him, Judy Gold, another comedian,
Yeah.
told me, go to New York. And I went to New York. And I would eat the hottest shit on planet Earth. I got booed off stage. It was like
it just
brutal.
to toughen you up and just go, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere kind of thing?
Yeah, basically it was like cut your teeth. Go to the Big Apple.
What would be a typical? Here he is, Nick Swardson. What would be a typical opener for you? Opening line or opening?
You
bit?
look
I'm
young.
just curious why
you say
you
anything
look
about being
like a high
young?
school senior or whatever. And why would they boo you off? Did you go super blue then, or what was it?
No, because I was so clean, and I would have I would have to get when you're starting out, any stage time, you just have to get whatever you can get.
Yeah.
So I would go on in the Village at like 1 a.m.
Oh,
and I'm following Dave Attell and Rock and guys like that, and I was just so clean. Like, I don't want to hear about a cat vomiting.
That's
Like,
your clean material?
I'm following like 4 hours of like pussy jokes.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And then all of a sudden a pussy's vomiting. Yeah. See what I did
it's
there?
hard to follow a hyper confident East Coast comic, just with almost like he's going to beat up the audience if they don't laugh. The fuck's up, New York? Following one of those guys.
Yeah, this fucking guy. Look at this guy in the front row. This queer. What are you, queer?
And now welcome Nick Swardson. Hey everybody. Hi.
Hi, I had a hot dog.
You know what's weird? Mayonnaise. Yeah.
Why?
You ever put because you put it on your hot dog. Get it?
Boo.
Boo.
Get the fuck out of
Some
here.
people put ketchup, but I'm kind of off kilter. I put mayonnaise.
I put mustard on my butt.
Oh, that's really the weird place.
I remember one of my biggest takes too was I was doing stand-up on Conan O'Brien.
on his head.
And I was doing Conan, and I was at the Comedy Cellar, and I was doing Conan the next day. And they were like, do you want to go run your set? And I'm like, no, it's good. It's tight. And they're like, no, you should run your set. All these comics. Mark Cohen was like, no, you should run your set. And I'm like, no, it's fine. And they're like, no, they're yelling at me. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So when you run a TV set, you can't really interact with the crowd. You just have to like stick to your time. So I go up and it's dead. So I'm bombing horribly. And I've got to do this set on TV the next day.
All your confidence goes out the window.
Yeah.
All of it goes out the window. So I snap at the crowd and I go, none of this is funny. None of this. I'm doing this on TV tomorrow. And they go, nope, it's not funny.
I
This
wouldn't.
sucks. And I was like, fuck you. And I just walked off stage and I went upstairs in the restaurant with all the comics. They were all laughing. And I was like, oh, real funny, guys. And they're like, that was amazing. You just totally ate shit. And I was like, yeah, great.
That's their help.
Yeah, it's like,
I know. When
comics
you get
are
your
so
set,
brutal.
when you get your set to where you like it, it's almost like I don't even want to trifle with it. I just want to. I know it. I just want to go do it. And they're like, go do it again. You're like, I can't. I don't want any difference of what's going on right now.
Yeah, I don't want to trifle with anything.
I don't want to trifle with shit, dude.
God, I haven't heard. Oh, thumbs up, David. You got a thumbs up for trifle.
Oh, thanks, Dana.
But isn't it in my...
Dana, can you see them? There you go.
Well, I'm just seeing fireworks behind me.
Fireworks.
Right now.
It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to talk about Benchwarmers because everyone asks me about Benchwarmers all the time. So you started writing. You're starting with Sandler. You meet Sandler. Somehow you're writing Benchwarmers with. Was it you and Covert or you and Sandler? Who wrote that?
Sandler called me. I remember I was in Nashville and I was doing a gig, and he called me.
Hey, pal.
I was in my hotel room, and he was like, "Hey, I thought I sold an idea to Sony," and I'm like, "What is it?" He goes, "It's called or he didn't have a title yet, but he's like, it's 3 Little Leaguers, whatever." And he gave me the premise. He's like, "I want you to write it," and I'm like, "Okay." So me and Covert wrote it, and then Sandler jumped in, and I remember I had a voicemail from you, David, and you said, "I've read a ton of scripts. I've had a lot of people write roles for me. So we wrote it for you in mind." And you said, "I've rarely seen somebody write something this perfect for me."
Oh, great. Yeah. I remember loving Benchwarmers. And
it was great. You know David's voice. That's perfect. I mean, it's a great way to write. Like, okay, David's character is going to talk like this and say this, because you kind of can just process.
Yeah, I mean, I just knew his sarcasm just from watching him for years. You know what I mean?
And was it me and Rob in mind? We just didn't know that third one. I don't think
it was you and Rob, and then we couldn't peg the third one, and then we got John Heater, which was great. John was amazing.
John, I just saw an SNL
Napoleon
monologue.
Dynamite, everybody.
Yeah,
he did Dana. We should have him on because he's a great dude, and he also did a pretty funny monologue when I didn't know he hosted SNL. And a great monologue. I saw it yesterday on my Twitter.
I didn't know he hosted SNL.
Yeah, isn't that funny? And everyone in the audience, he goes, a lot of people say, he wasn't doing Napoleon, but he's like, a lot of people say that, I stole some of these characters from back home, but these are just original characters. Then he goes, "Yeah, I have a question." He goes, "Oh, hey, Rick." And this guy in the audience stands up dressed exactly like Napoleon Dynamite. He goes, "I think you stole it from me." And he goes, "No, it has nothing to do with anyone I've ever met." And then Bill Hader, not Bill Hader, but God damn it. The
Bill
other
Simmons.
one comes. No, Joe Biden.
Bill Cosby.
Was he a cast member?
Just look at the pill and the lady and put the pill. Go ahead.
I know. Everyone stands up as a cast member from Napoleon Dynamite. Anyway, who gives a fat fuck? I saw it. I laughed at it. John Heater was fun. I think there was a chance of using someone else. I feel like, this sounds like a lie, I saw Napoleon Dynamite the first half, and I alerted Sandler and the squad and going, I don't know who we have. This guy's funny. He might be weird, but I have no say in this. I'm just saying I like him. And then I think it's everyone sort of heard about the movie, and he came in, and remember, we were trying to get him to do Napoleon Dynamite the whole goddamn movie, which is so rude. But
I was going to say that. So for people listening, David and I nonstop would do Napoleon Dynamite to John Heater. And he'd be like, "All right, you guys.
I get it. Gosh.
All right, let's go to lunch."
Like when people say, like when I say, "You lost your," I mean, these lines still make me laugh. I didn't write probably any of them.
No.
"You just lost your membership at Video Spot." And he goes, "Dang it." Just to get him to say it like Napoleon Dynamite or a little bit. We all would like go, "Wow, it's so funny."
I can be a fan of someone just based on one line. And I think I saw that movie 6 times because all the kids in the neighborhood wanted to see it. And cousins and everybody. But when they on the bus, I think the little girl goes, "What are you going to do today, Napoleon?" He goes, "Whatever I want." Gosh.
It's so stupid.
The comedy like that, where it's inexplicable, there's no actual joke.
Yeah.
It's rhythmic and bizarre. It really just laughs. Any young person right now has not seen Napoleon Dynamite, or old person. Just see it. It grows on you. First few minutes, you're like, what am I watching?
I think it's perfect. I've seen it probably 100 times.
Yeah.
I could probably quote that entire movie.
And then back to Benchwarmers anyway. So anyway, Benchwarmers. Go ahead.
No, I was saying one of my other favorite moments, David. I don't know if you remember this. We were in Vegas. You're doing the Mirage, and John Heater came with his wife. And so John Heater's Mormon, so they don't drink alcohol. So David and I were drinking. We're at the bar, and we're like, "Hey, John, why don't you have a drink?" And he goes, "I can't. You guys know that." We're like, "Yeah, but you could have one."
Get off my back.
"No, I can't. You know I can't." I think he ordered a glass of milk or something. And we were like, "Yeah, but you could do like one shot." And he's like, "No, you guys, And I remember his wife. Goes, but John, we could maybe have one, right? And he got so mad. He was like, "No, we can't. You know that." He was so
you were going to get a little bit of soaking action tonight, but not now.
What did he think you were going to get a funnel and hold him down with a funnel?
I know. We're such losers for doing that to him. But I remember there's another funny joke that you gave me when the catcher goes, "You're still out. You're still fat."
Yeah.
God, I can't remember. I go, "You're a good catcher of donuts in your mouth." Great. One of the catchers was Jack Nicholson's kid, Ray, who was a stud. Who is actively being a stud right now. And looks
Ray was
cool.
great. So Patrick Schwarzenegger was in it.
Patrick Schwarzenegger was in it. Dan Patrick was probably in it, right?
Was he?
All of
he
Sandler's
was.
Squadron. And
he was.
Super fun to shoot in the Valley of LA. I wish we could shoot another movie. That was such a blast that summer.
I wanted to do Benchwarmers too. I told you that. I had conceived the whole thing. It was going to be like Bad News Bears 2, where we go to Japan. And I had a whole thing mapped out. I told you and Rob and John, and everybody was on board. And then we lost the rights to Benchwarmers.
And then they made a Benchwarmers 2, which was,
I don't know, some nonsense.
Yeah.
So Happy Madison didn't own Benchwarmers? Someone else took it away?
Something happened. They sold the name.
I can't remember what happened, but we lost it. But yeah,
because Lovitz, I still think Lovitz was very funny in that. And
Lovitz is another one where he doesn't want to do Lovitz, so it's like John Heater, where it's like just do like your voice. And like when we were doing Benchwarmers, I remember Lovitz would like fight about, like Sandler would be like, "No, just deliver it like John Lovitz." He's like, "I don't want to do John Lovitz. I don't want to do
I have
that
range.
Voice. I'm gonna do a whole nother character." Sandler was like, "Are you fucking dumb? No, he wrote it for you in your voice. Like, just deliver the goddamn
the way you picture it." Yeah,
I am not John Lovitz anymore.
He thinks he's Benicio del Toro doing like
I'm
a whispery
Daniel
voice.
Gay Lewis.
What about Reno 911? Another monster hit. Reno. I still see clips from that. The good thing about the internet.
I became a couple memes, David. It's not easy.
Listen, I became a national phenomenon, but
I'm a treasure.
Terry, Dana, you would never have seen this because no one really did.
Reno 911, of course.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, of
That
course.
was another one of those quirky, funny,
Swarty on roller skates. A lot of ad-libbing, I would guess.
It was all ad-libbed.
People in it. It was.
The movie was ad-libbed. I remember they gave me the script for the movie. And it was like 15 pages. And I go, "What is this?" And it was all locations. There was no dialogue.
You're in a bowling alley. Go.
Yeah.
That's like a dream.
Terry
that's
skates
a dream
up.
part, right?
Yeah, it was amazing.
To not have to repeat lines all day. You do 3 masters at 7 a.m. and by 6 o'clock that night at your close-up. And if you miss a word, the script supervisor goes, "You said your elbow was out and you said the before."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if every take is a real live take, no
it's
wonder it's so
fun.
funny.
Well, that's like Curb. Those kind of things where you can. It's hard for the editor, but if you can pick the right shit out. I saw some Bridesmaids, bloopers, and you're like, God, some of these are as good. You just don't know. It's Sophie's Choice. You go, this is the one that's going in the movie for all of time, and there's one just as good that no one will ever see. So you pick the take, and you got to live with it, and that's hard because you sit there and go, that's good for this reason. That's good for this reason. What joke? I mean, you never know.
Well, also, we would try to make it, especially me, I would try to say the most insane things to break the other cast members and make them laugh.
Yeah.
So my character was so outlandish. So I was just trying to come up with just pure insanity.
It's like Wrong Missy, where Lauren had such a great fun part where I was sort of the straight man. And then when you're insane like that, you can really say anything. And when we're at a date and she's like, "Quit trying to fuck me," across the room to some tough guy. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like, so every take, they'd be like, "Do this one a little drunker. You know what? Do this one a little sexier. No, do this one a little more insane." And it just turns out to where that was another example of there was Wrong Missy was such a fun movie that worked out for us all. Nick was in it with us. And, but there's so many takes.
I did very well in it, David. I did.
You did great. You're my buddy in it. We're buddies from Portland.
We're pals.
And, yeah.
You always
Nick didn't want to shave his beard, by the way, Dana. Just so you
What'd
know.
you say, Dana?
I said, Nick is always funny. I don't think
you.
I've ever seen you not funny. I remember, what was the one Sandler did with Jennifer Aniston? Is
Just go with it.
Yeah, just go with it.
Were you in that one too? I mean, or there was, every time you come in, you're like doing something so
Turn
insane.
the channel.
I assume it's like your own little ecosystem you sort of invented.
I'm just a crazy person. Yeah, I was the guy I played part German, and I resuscitated the sheep.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, it's a sheep. I remember Sandler called me. I remember exactly where I was. I was at Baby Blues Barbecue in Venice, and Sandler calls me, and he goes, hey, what are you doing? And I go, I'm having dinner. Why? What's up? And he goes, can you do a German accent? And I go, what, like this? Like, go to some bars, have some food? And he goes, okay, perfect. Call you tomorrow. So then he hangs up the phone, and he calls me. He goes, we're doing a movie in Hawaii. You, me, and Aniston. You're playing a half German dude. And I was like, what the hell? It was like the most Sandler.
What a blast.
Yeah, it was amazing.
If there's a whisper that he might have something going, then it's always like confirmed, basically. Hey, I might need you for this. Would you want to do
Dana,
something
what did
like,
we first do together? Was it Jack and Jill?
Yeah, I think
Jack
so.
and Jill?
Was that when he played like the puppeteer? Or what was
it? And Regis Philbin was in that.
Yes, that's right.
I did a puppeteer weirdo or something. It was like a cameo. I mean, I don't know. What did you play in Jack and Jill?
Yeah.
I played like his coworker.
We're all in Jack and Jill.
Everybody. David, were you in Jack and Jill?
I was a girl in Jack and Jill.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I made out with Al Pacino.
Look, I've only been in 2 Sandler movies trying to give an assist and help out.
Sandy
One
Wernick.
was Little Nicky and one was Jack and Jill. They were 10 years apart, and they underperformed, and not that they weren't funny. And so I was a jinx to the Tappy Madison.
I think Jack and Jill is so funny.
I remember I left
totally.
I left the goddamn premiere of Jack and Jill, and I was like, I may be wrong. This is gonna make $100 million. And I did the same thing with That's My Boy. I was like, I laughed the whole time. I'm like, I don't know. I still think
That's My Boy is phenomenal.
It's fucking hilarious. It's so rough. I like when he plays dirty, R-rated. It's
when the comedian, when you get a sense that the person on screen is having so much fun, like Sandler's commitment to the Jill character and how much he enjoyed doing that. It was just bouncing off the screen. So who knows why things are hits, fellas? What was the biggest hit you were ever in, Nick? Would it
Grown Ups?
Not Bucky Larson. God bless Bucky Larson. That's one of my favorites.
God bless.
I don't know. Probably Just Go With It, or maybe Click.
What about Grown Ups 2, dummy?
Grown Ups 2, yeah, it's another one.
Yeah, come on, fool.
But I would say the biggest one that didn't do well at all in the theater, but Grandma's Boy.
Oh,
was
yeah.
huge. That became just
Why
massive.
are we talking about Grandma's Boy? Yeah.
Just kept going and going and going, right?
It made it like, I knew when we were writing it, I was like, oh, this movie is so bonkers weird. It's not, I don't know how they're going to market it. Like, I knew it was not going to do well, but I knew when it hit DVD that it was going to be explosive. And it was. It like made like as much as Titanic on like DVD. It was like insane.
Yeah,
Really?
that's one. I had one scene in it, Dana, again, and I heard about this to this day. I mean, Grandma's Boy, if you get a scene or you're just in a movie like that just, they used to grind. That's what happened with Joe Dirt, Dickie Roberts, when you do them and they go to DVD, they do pretty good in the theater, and then you hit DVD and it just explodes, and they make so much money off them. And then they go to HBO, then they go here. So someone is making money. It's not us. But in a related story, one time, little Nicky, this Nicky, and I were at lunch. I think Nick will remember this. There's 2 things happen. We're at La Scala, like 2 old women, and we're having lunch. This is way back. And because, do you remember, 2 things happened. One, you had a residual check for writing Benchwarmers, and it was so big. I was like, holy shit, dude. And you had it in your hand. I won't say how much. And then I remember
27,000.
And then, don't try to do this. I know what you're doing. And then, and Heath Ledger died. We heard it at lunch. Do you remember this?
I vaguely do.
Yeah. Look at your diary. It's in there.
Look at my diarrhea.
We heard that, and we were both a little thrown because I think we both obviously knew of him, but had seen him out. And I remember I barely knew him, and I had his phone number in my phone, but I didn't ever call him or talk to him. But I remember just talking to him one night, and then I thought, oh, how weird. And then I remember it was even worse because you were there for some reason, and that made it worse.
I was very sad. I never knew Heath, but I was a big fan.
I was sad, and then you make me sad, and so it was all sad.
This is a little off topic, but it's kind of interesting to me that Heath Ledger, his Joker kind of broke the whole form.
Yeah, oh yeah.
With the lip and everything, and now Joaquin Phoenix does it. I don't know where the next thing to do is have Joker back.
How do you
with
make it
lipstick? But
yeah,
the lipstick's like this, then it's a weirdo. But
the next
could a
Joker
weirdo
should
have
just
regular, really well groomed lipstick.
He should look like the Bachelor. Just go back to being the normal Joker. I'm the normal guy.
Because where's it going?
I think the next incarnation is Rob Schneider as the Joker.
As the poker. He'll poke you until you get irritated.
Come on, come in my cave.
He comes into
that would be
he comes
like
up to
Penguin.
Batman and throws fucking magnesium pills at him.
Vaccinates
Take these.
Everybody.
He vaccinates everybody. No, he doesn't like vaccination.
No,
he doesn't like.
He doesn't like. Oh, let me just say, I met. This is a random segue, but I remember going back to the Aspen Comedy Festival. It was the only time I met Chris Farley, and I remember Dana. You've been to Aspen, right? Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, and I was there, and I've been other times. Yeah,
and but the altitude is really brutal. So I was 19 years old, and I remember I was having trouble breathing, like even like walking up just a couple stairs. I was having trouble. And I was 19. I was in good shape, and I remember very vividly walking home from a gig to the hotel, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I just heard like a roar screaming down the street.
Bigfoot.
And I'm like, what is that? And I look down the street, and it's Farley, shirtless. It's like 10 degrees, and he's got a cigarette in his mouth, and he's doing cartwheels down the snow with his entourage. I think Johnny was there, his brother.
Clown-tourage of idiots. Yeah.
Total clown-tourage. Yeah. But I'll never forget that. Farley was what, 450 pounds? And he's doing cartwheels and chain smoke.
Very agile.
Down the street. And I'll never forget the roar that just echoed. Aspen's a small town. It's pretty contained. So it just was thunderous, like throughout the whole place. It was like crazy.
Nick, where was the gig you just did where you got altitude poisoning and you got sick? Dana, this is sad.
Beaver Creek. Nice little town.
Nick wasn't feeling well, and he was doing stand-up, and he tried to push through his show.
It was 9,000 feet altitude, and I took an edible. Like, I'm the first person to do that in Colorado. So I had a couple cocktails.
9,000? Seriously? Hold on a second.
9,000 feet.
The people just live at 9,000 feet. They must all be distance runners or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's really high. So, yeah.
And I totally brain farted on stage, and then it ended up on TMZ, and they like took me off stage. It was like a total mess, but it wasn't bad. I didn't like pull like some Michael Richards thing where I started.
No, it was more of a Biden.
Mind.
No, easy on that. Michael Richards.
Yeah.
No, you just
I don't say. Some words.
Didactic or facetious.
So when you have that and you got the altitude, you got the edible in you, and it's not happening, what is the back of your head? What are you saying to yourself internally?
Abort mission.
I am having a trouble. I should get off stage, or is it just sort of a slow motion?
No, I could have figured it out. I was just a space cadet.
But they weren't being very patient.
Yeah, it was just a total non-story. But
it's funny in this day and age.
Well, it made national news. It was like, it made Yahoo, again, TMZ, like CNN, USA Today called me for a comment. I was like, what?
Nick.
We'll be back with more stories about Ukraine. But first, out of Beaverton, Colorado, a comedian goes off stage 20 minutes early. We'll be right back.
Yeah. That's the best quote is like, Nick's like, I was in altitude. I take gummies and shrooms, guys. What are you worried about? And everyone's like, yeah, Nick. I'm like, they're applauding this behavior? Yeah, they're
applauding this behavior.
And the next weekend he sells out. This is the classic things that happen.
Oh, then I just ripped it. And then I did Aspen. I did Aspen right after Beaver Creek. It had 2 sold out shows. and people threw edibles at me on stage. The stage was
the
literally covered in edibles. The stage.
You're like, guys, scrape. I can't do all these tonight, but I'll pace them out.
People love but they, it's a human story, I mean, they do love talk about authenticity and stuff. And then would you talk about it, make jokes, and they throw edible. I mean, then it's like,
Yeah, I was very self-effacing about it. I mean, I talked about it on stage for a while. But
there was a rumor that you ate a bowl of your own diarrhea, and I was like, no, I don't. Maybe.
No, I snorted it. That's where you're wrong.
Snort the pee. Hang on, Nick. Before you go, let's look. First of all, let me see what else I got.
I have a question for you. Like randomly at airports and stuff, when people come up to you and maybe some more obscure part of your career, what makes you happy? Like people come up and go, Bucky Larson's one of my favorite films, or just random things from your specials, or what do they say to you when they approach you? Fans.
I love it. My fans are so awesome, and I'll hang with everybody. David always gets annoyed by it, but I'll take photos with anybody. I'll get a drink with anybody. I just have a blast. So if people like Bucky Larson, because Bucky Larson got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's up. I think it's impossible. Up to 3%.
Fuck yeah!
But it's a phenomenal movie. So that one I always love. But obscure ones like my character and That's My Boy.
Mm-hmm.
My random stand-up jokes. If somebody just pulls something from, I've been doing stand-up for 30 years. So it's if somebody throws out a joke from 30 years ago, I'll be like, whoa! I get so fired up.
I have a good one, but it's on Zoom.
That's great.
I can't do one of my favorite jokes yours because it's Zoom. It's very physical. And I need to take off my clothes for it. But
Dana, what do you get approached for the most?
Oh, okay.
The most, it's either, I have a joke for this one. Hey, do George Bush Sr. And I go, not gonna do it. That's all one of those.
Killer, beginning, classic. Middle, end, and you're out of there.
Hans and Franz, Church Lady, Garth, all that stuff. But once in a while, people will come up to me and go, oh, my friends, every month we talk about skinheads from Maine, which was a sketch that Stephen Colbert and I did on the ill-fated Dana Carvey show. Where,
oh, wow.
It was a flight of fancy. Why are racists always Southern guys? Couldn't they be from New Hampshire or something? So it was like, well, it's like, what you doing there? Well, I'm whittling a hate stick for beating Spaniards. So it's all that Petridge Farm type guys, but they're complete racists.
Right.
So the specificity of that and the complete non sequitur of someone bringing that up to me is great. I like that. Chopping broccoli, I get a lot too.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, but I mean, all time. Garth is one of my Wayne's World. I can quote start to finish. I still will just randomly just pop into Garth and be like, "I love you, Dream Woman." And then when you're playing the drum set, the guy goes, "That was amazing, dude." And you just go, "I like to play."
That's right. You got it.
So good.
See, that makes me happy. Any kind of line that doesn't really have a punchline, that it just exists, it can keep continuing to be funny. If someone says, "Thanks, I like to play."
Those are the kind that don't kill
the
at
rhythm
read
of
through,
that.
And then they kill in longevity of a movie where you say, these are our three big jokes. And then over time, those get on the back burner.
It's always
these
the
weird
throwaways.
lines come out. Yeah, throwaways
it's
come
the
out.
throwaway, the quirky ones.
Yeah.
If you're gonna spew into this.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Just a little
spew.
But the rhythm of it, sometimes I would lose it. I'd start sounding more like a regular stoner dude. But the whole key is that guy talking like this, those sort of rhythms. Yeah. I could do it. That part is infectious to me. But anyway, thanks for being my guest today. Let's talk more about me.
Well, wait, one thing, side note, is that I would get in arguments with Sandler about it because he never did DVD extras or outtakes.
Yeah.
And I was always like, we have so much fun filming. And I'm like, dude, there's so much great material here for a DVD.
Everyone wants them at the end.
And he goes, yeah, no, nobody, everybody else does that. He's like, I don't want to do it. And I was just so bummed because people would love it. Because
I agree with you.
Sandler and I crack up all the time.
Yeah, he doesn't really like you, but
David.
So
it's not true, David. He's my best friend.
Oh, that's funny because we were just laughing about you the other day.
Peter Sellers, they'd have to shut down the set. I mean, they would literally, he could not keep a straight face. They just go home. At the end of being there, they have outtakes of Peter Sellers, and he just can't hold it together. Yeah, he was notorious. Hours and hours could not get one take.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, look at just go on YouTube, Being There, Peter Sellers outtakes. It's at the end of the movie, but it's fascinating, really. A guy that brilliant, I love that stuff. I mean, recently on Saturday Night Live, they had the Beavis and Butthead sketch where everybody broke, basically.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Heidi Gardner, which I talked to Lord about it, and she wasn't ready for because Mikey Day had escalated the makeup, so she wasn't prepared for it.
Smart.
So her looking and not even getting the giggles and trying to stop. Look, and then
just
completely burst out laughing. It was an irresistible laugh for me at home.
Yeah.
I was like, just losing it all. Completely no pretense, like trying to hold it.
That was really funny. Mikey Day is hilarious, by the way. I used to watch him before when he was doing sketches on like Funny or Die and stuff. He's such a talent. Really
and a great writer as well.
Yeah, really brilliant.
Yeah.
Nick, say the name of your special again and say the tour so we get it out there for everyone.
July 18th, YouTube, Make Joke from Face is the special.
Okay.
And then in the fall is Toilet Head, nickswardson.net.
You have the best names.
nickswardson.net.
Just those two are the best names.
Yeah.
Make Joke from Face.
Well, it's like, seriously, who farted? I remember when I was meeting with Comedy Central, and that was my first hour special. And they're like, what do you want to call it? And I go, seriously, who farted? And they're like, oh, that's funny. But seriously, what do you want to call it? They didn't believe me.
Exactly.
And I was like, seriously, who farted? And they're like, oh, you're serious. That's what you want to call the name of your special?
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't take myself seriously. Like when comedians take themselves seriously or try to make like a cool name for a special or try to sound cool, it's just like, get over yourself.
What's interesting about names like that is that eventually at some production meeting, maybe for some other thing, they'll refer to Toilet Head casually. Well, we were shooting Toilet Head in San Jose, and when we shot Toilet Head, Nick wanted 6 cameras. We had 5, I believe, for Toilet Head. Was it 5 for Toilet Head? Yeah. So that'll happen, and so that joke lives on as soon as people refer to it in a serious
when we
way.
Did
then
SWF.
the joke is complete.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Well, that's why when I thought of Seriously Who Farted, I was hoping so bad to get nominated for a Grammy for the album because I just wanted someone to say that on stage.
Trevor Noah. Seriously, who farted?
And next up, the nominees are Nick Swardson. Seriously, who farted? And then the crowd would be like, "What? What is it? Are they asking somebody who farted?"
And Dua Lipa is like, "Yeah, talking to me."
And eventually it'll be truncated. I was shooting Farted. I directed Farted. And I was on Seriously. Seriously, who farted? I'm trying to think, what's the funniest accent to say that? Seriously, who farted?
Maybe it's Garth.
Nick Swardson.
Seriously,
who farted?
I feel like a lot of people farted on Wayne's World.
Seriously, who
during
farted?
The shooting. All right, Dana. What's your name, Nick? Thank you, Nick.
Nick Swardson. Yes, thanks.
Nick
for having
Swardson.
me.
Miss you.
One of the funniest guys in America. Go watch his show. Watch us.
Make Joke from Face.
Make Joke from Face. That's his. And his
the tour,
Toilet Head, coming to a town near you. He will not be at Beaver Creek, Colorado on this particular tour, but soon he'll be at 12,000 feet.
For sure.
He's playing the Swiss Alps at 14,000 feet.
My next special, I want to do 90,000 feet. And take a bunch of mushrooms.
From the space station.
All right, I love you guys.
All right, bye, guys.
You're two of my favorite people ever. You're hilarious.
Love you, Nick. Thanks for coming on.
Namaste.
This has been a presentation of Audacy. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all the stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Audacy, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.